Hey guys, Static here. Today on Dungeon Guide we're going to be covering Veteran Hard Mode White Gold Tower. Here in White Gold Tower there's a nice mix of different kinds of mobs. There's a couple in particular that require special attention. These lacerators, for example, are the healers. In most dungeons the healers are just kind of an afterthought. However, here in White Gold Tower, the heals from these lacerators are very strong, and it's even a good idea to create separation due to their AoE heals. The sword and board adds will buff the entire mob around them, making them all take less damage. Just another reason separation is good here. Before entering the White Gold Tower itself, you'll have to defeat this giant flesh atronach. Rule number 1 for tanks is to turn this boss around. He'll start doing a 3-swing volley here. Each of them are a conal, and each one hits very hard and must be blocked by the tank. When his hand goes in the ground, stay mobile as poison will start popping up all around. This boss fight can be a handful for a lower DPS group. The first attack are these waves of shards shot out across the room in different directions. Half of these waves reflect off of the walls and come back at you from behind. It's a good idea to block or just spin your camera around and watch for them. There's a single target magical attack from above that will be placed on your tank. If he's perma-blocking as he should be for this fight, it's not that big of a deal. She'll then summon some adds. These can pile up and be troublesome for some lower DPS groups. Here comes the fun part. Someone at random will be placed in one of the cages around the outside of the room. The only way to escape is for you or a party member to break or pick the lock. While in the cage, you are inflicted by a pretty hefty dot. It's a good idea for your healer to position themselves between you in the cage and the rest of the group so he can heal both parties. As you can see, the longer this fight goes on, the more adds and the more fire the boss will be placing on the ground. Her magical attacks from above are also intensified. If your group has lower DPS, expect a lot of people caged and a lot of things to avoid here. In this next small room we're introduced to the portal mechanics. One player at random will get a gray screen and these portals will be damageable only for that player. The quicker that player destroys these portals, the less adds spawn from them. This will be an important lesson for later on in this dungeon. Now we come to our first crematorial guard. There's a couple things you need to know here. The first, his main attack is a conal, so your tank should definitely point that away from your group or you will all melt. Secondly, these guards are 100% a DPS check. If it takes you too long to burn them down, their damage is increased over time and they will kill the group. This is one of those fights that can be done in a couple different ways, but I would strongly recommend using the kill order that we use here. We kill the sword and board first, the dual wield second, and then the magic and dragon knight last. The sword and board needs to go down first just because they buff the other two bosses, making them all harder to kill. Watch out for the fire attack across the room from that magic and dragon knight on the far side. This attack attributes to a lot of groups' deaths, so I would recommend that your tank tries to pull the other two away from this boss. This Dragon Knight is also the healer, so it's a great idea to try and keep them interrupted. Your tank will need to reposition the other two bosses several times throughout this fight, as the DK will keep teleporting to you before doing their large attack. Once the sword and board boss is down, the other two become much easier to damage. The dual wield boss is the least threatening of the three. They're a Nightblade type of ad with spinning attacks and ambushes, but they can be buffed with a flame aura from the Magicka DK. This aura could be placed on the dual wield or on the sword and board even. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but if your heals are a little weak or your group's a little squishy, you still want to try and keep out of it. The Dragon Knight will also place down standards. These standards reduce the damage they take, so you want to try and keep the bosses out of them. This boss also has a habit of placing an inferno at their feet, making it much more difficult to attack them. A nice trick is for your Dragon Knight tank to use chains to pull them out once they're not CC immune, and then you can continue to attack them unencumbered. It's worth mentioning that this also can interrupt their giant flame attack. If your tank is not a DK, they can just back up far enough away that the boss will follow them out of the red AoEs. You won't be able to interrupt the flame attack, but you can get them to where they're much more easily damageable. This large section will have 3 different groups of mobs, each one complete with portals. Someone's screen will go gray, you are on portal duty, that is your only job, stop what you're doing, close the portals. The Grievous Twilights can take a little while to burn down in these pools just because they teleport around. They don't do a lot of damage, they're just time consuming. I like to show in my guides where you can save some time. If you have the AoE to do these kind of pulls, you can run through this spider room and clear everything in the room and everything out in the hallway in one bunched up little section here. As always, I'll say, if you don't have the damage and you don't have the heals to do this, don't try it. Here's another big boy pull for the cool kids group. Don't attempt this unless you like challenging yourself. Take care of that crematorial guard before fighting this dragon. The dragon will start shooting fireballs up into the sky to rain down on your party. You want to stay mobile, but you don't want to overlap these. From a healer's perspective, this is your Breath of Life spam time. Here we are at the Pinion boss. This is arguably one of the most difficult fights in the game. What's hard about it is everyone in the group needs to fulfill their role 100% in order to be successful. First off, your tank needs to bring a DPS set if at all possible. The reason being, this boss does not follow traditional aggro mechanics through use of taunts. Instead, she aggroes to whoever the last person was who closed the pinion in the middle of the room. When this pinion opens back up, a dot will be placed on the last person who closed it. So for this reason, you want the next person in your group to click it and share some of that dot damage to not be overwhelmed. One player at random will be placed onto portal duty. Call this out in chat because you are no longer eligible to click that pinion in the middle. You now have a full-time job. Everyone needs to have a ranged attack in order to close these portals as quickly as possible, or ads will come out of them and you'll just get overrun. If you do this quickly and efficiently enough, you'll actually have no ads spawn, which is what I've accomplished here. The boss's regular attacks are flame attacks. She'll have geysers shoot up out of the ground, and if you happen to overlap 2 of them, you'll get nuked like our DPS does here. She also has a larger AoE, which you just need to dodge roll out of. Now comes the most important part of this fight when the flames at her feet turn blue. Anyone who comes in contact with her will die in one shot. Whoever was last to click the portal has aggro on her and must try and run. The longer you have aggro, the more snared you become, making it almost impossible to outrun her. So the closer she gets to you, you need to call it out, I need a click, the next party member clicks that pinion and runs again. Swapping aggro using the pinion 3 times during this blue phase converts her back to her regular form. Our portal closer died during blue phase, which is why we had the amount of ads we did. When she reverted, we calmly gathered them and dumped ultimates. One thing worth mentioning here is that when she's in execute phase, you no longer have 1 member who is on portal duty. You will have 2. This obviously doubles your chance of being overrun, so you really want to focus down those portals if at all possible. This fight can be super frustrating. All of us here in group have done this boss multiple times and know the mechanics like the back of our hands, and we still have deaths. This is one of those fights where you really just need to put your time in and learn the mechanics. On your way to the last boss, you'll come to this room. This room reminds me of an orgy gone wrong, and this guy got the worst of it. He's got a knife in his crotch. Then again, who am I to judge what someone's into? Before we get started, Okos has a public service announcement here.
Here, I'll show what happens if you do this. Oh, not the face!
Thanks, Okos. Now anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, don't forget to activate hard mode by reading the tome here. As you saw from Oak's early demise, the mobs around Molag Kena will explode once they've been killed. Her first attack are lightning strikes called down on random members of the group. She also does this individually on the tank along with heavy attacks. She then will summon this large wall of lightning that splits this entire area in half. Her next attack will be a conal knockback attack. I'll explain more about this lightning wall in a second because she's about to summon an Atronach. Everyone needs to drop what they're doing and focus this Atronach. It's going to pick a random player, and if it reaches them, it will explode, killing them. Now you saw I dodge rolled through this lightning wall. You can do this and not take any damage. You can sprint through it quickly as well. You just can't stand in it for any longer than a split second or it will kill you. She may also summon lightning charges that move around the ground at the same time and make it more difficult to avoid the lightning wall. At both 70 and 30% HP, she will go back to the center and be undamageable and get surrounded by these adds again. Her first attack is a giant knockback, so you want to stay kind of close into her. You don't want to be near that outer flaming wall. If you get knocked back into that, that will be a death. Avoid the explosions from the adds and stay tight here. It's going to really help your healer out. These shockwaves emanating from the boss will push you back closer to those firewalls. You can weave in between them, or you can just simply block and walk through them and not get knocked back. It's important to note that you want to take care of these adds quickly and get out of this phase as soon as possible. Reason being, that original jump and knockback she did at the beginning of that phase, she will repeat it if you take too long, and each time it knocks you back further and further, and eventually it will put you into the flames. We've seen almost all of her mechanics now, with the exception of what happens when she gets into execute range. So just kite around that lightning wall, watch out for lightning splashes on the ground, avoid her conal knockbacks, and take care of any Atronachs that should come up. At 30%, she'll be going back to that original starting position, and you'll have to clear the adds one more time. Once again, come in together tightly and move as one unit to really help your healer out here. I cannot stress this enough. Start building your ultimates. As soon as this phase is over with, you're going to need them. As soon as this last add goes down, have your tank on the Warhorn trigger button. Stack your dots and drop your ultimates. You need to burn very hard right here. The main reason you want to execute her quickly is because this lightning wall is now 2 lightning walls, moving in the opposite direction. You start adding Atronachs coming up at the same time during this phase, and you see why you want to diminish the length of this fight as much as possible. The best defensive strategy for the end of this fight is to stay offensive. The longer you mess around, the greater you increase your chances of getting caught by one of these mechanics, so just keep burning. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Please smash that like and subscribe button below for future content releases. I really appreciate the support everybody's been showing me, so I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. See you guys later and catch you next time.